What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you a video about Bloodlines 2 and its Gamescom opening night live reveals, which include the fact that it finally has an official release date rather than a release window. Not to keep you in suspense there, it is October 21st. No real surprises there. I imagine they wanted to get as close to Halloween as possible with that one, while also still trying to give people a small window to actually buy the game there. To, of course, capture the mood of the season, and while that's all well and good, the real reason I wanted to make this specific video, because I will be doing a highlights video for the entire showcase and covering a couple of other things, what really caught my attention here is that on top of the new trailer, they also dropped a bunch of information alongside playable clans that were not announced previously. One of which is my personal favorite, the Lasombra, Masters of Shadow, alongside the Toreador. Toreador were honestly a big surprising omission from the initial lineup anyway, given how Toreador are kind of, I would say, one of the primary archetypes of what people think of when they think vampires. Artistic, socially adept manipulators, that is. And for all those people still wanting a playable Malkavian, while your hopes were not exactly confirmed, it was mentioned that you will actually play through some sections of the game as Fabian, the voice trapped in your head, and it turns out that Fabian is in fact a Malkavian vampire. So while it's not really the same thing, there will be a playable Malkavian presence in the game at the very least. Now, on to the bad news. Though also not really surprising, Lasombra and Toreador are only going to be available from the Shadows and Silk DLC, which is essentially going to be launching day one with the release of the game. So this will come with like the premium edition. Now, given that Paradox Interactive is publishing the game, this game having DLC that cuts off like clans and stuff and sells them separately is not a surprise in any way, shape, or form. That's kind of their whole thing. Though choosing to parcel that off day one for a game that has already been through the amount of development hell that this game has is certainly a choice, and not exactly doing themselves any favors in terms of like winning over general goodwill that this game honestly kind of needs right now. Which leads me to being kind of mixed about it. On one hand, glad to see my personal favorite clan, Lasombra, in there. On the other, not really excited to see these behind a paywall, even if it was honestly pretty expected. Otherwise, though, in the trailer itself, we did get a bit of other news in the form of some just general gameplay details. As I mentioned, we will be playing through portions of the game as Fabian, who is a Malkavian vampire. These looked to be, to some degree, in the form of like flashbacks or perhaps something more psychological rather than the more traditional gameplay we saw elsewhere in the trailer. And while we somewhat already knew that the game involved a big murder mystery, they really kind of put that at the center of this particular trailer as well. As we know, there's been some strange kindred murders happening. Our job as sheriff in this game is to get to the bottom of that sort of thing, and much of the story is going to revolve around that specifically, and cryptically it supposedly has the ability to plunge all of Seattle into chaos. There is that, at least. On top of all that, this particular trailer that they put out does show us a few new moments of the game, such as when our character, the Nomad or Fire, is being waken up from their torpor, and a look at some gameplay elements that they've, I believe at least, alluded to in some of their previous devlogs, things like that. And while some of the facial animations in particular throughout this trailer look a little stiff, let's say, the rest of it I think does actually look a fair bit better than what they've shown previously, and in combination with the announcements of the clans being playable is nice, at least. But given all the other details of this, I don't necessarily know that this is actually going to assuage anyone's fears of this game's incredibly troubled development cycle. Like I mentioned, if anything, I think putting the Lasombra and the Toreador behind a paywall literally the day this game launches isn't exactly the best choice. All of that said, though, again, the release date officially for this is October 21st, here in about 2 months. Obviously, I will be playing it and reviewing it. To be very frank with you, I am not expecting a review key in any way, shape, or form for this, mostly because I, A, don't ever really deal with Paradox Interactive at all, and also I've been pretty vocally critical of a lot of this game's development and things that they have put out there, like, for instance, this paywall, which I think is ridiculous, personally. Which is to simply say I would be genuinely surprised if they gave me a review key for this, so we will ultimately see what happens. Nonetheless, it looks like the base game is going to be $59.99, the deluxe edition, which just comes with some cosmetic stuff, is $69.99, and the version edition with the playable clans is $89.99. Either way though, shouldn't be too much longer, literally a couple months before we finally see the end of this incredibly unique story in game development, if nothing else, which is why I wanted to make this quick video about it in addition to all of my other various content coming out of Gamescom. There's a couple things that I will be covering outside of just the highlights as well, but because of things like timing and embargoes and whatnot, I had to kind of get this one out pretty much today, so I doubled up on it. Hopefully you enjoyed all that information. By all means, let me know how you feel about all of it down in the comment section below, which of course means to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. But regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.